Marketing gets attention, but operators get paid. Welcome to the Restoration Rundown podcast, built for restoration contractors who want to build serious companies, not just stay busy. My name is Ben Riccardi, the founder of Ironclad Restoration Marketing, and we work exclusively in the restoration industry. And everything we talk about here comes from real companies, real conversation, real data, and real revenue conversations. Now, this show is about leadership, operations, digital marketing, and all the gaps that are quietly costing you money, because busy doesn't equal profitable. And one of the biggest revenue leaks that I see across this industry right now is response time. Marketing can get the phone to ring, but if you don't control the conversation fast, you don't control the job. That's why we partnered with Live Switch. Live Switch allows homeowners to connect live, show the damage in real time, and help restoration contractors win jobs while that urgency is still high. Now, if you want to pressure test your response time and your close rate, there's a link in the show notes that gets you a one-on-one with their CEO, James Hatfield, to see how Live Switch can change the game for your business. Now, let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Restoration Rundown, the podcast that's built for restoration business owners who want to run stronger companies, lead better teams, and stay ahead of the changes that are shaping this industry. Today's episode is one that every single restoration contractor in Florida should be paying attention to, because whether you realize it or not, there are decisions being made that are directly impacting how you operate your business. So today I'm joined by Richie Kidwell, who's been on the front lines of advocating for restoration contractors through his work with the Restoration Association of Florida, also known as RAF. We're going to break down what RAF actually does, what it is, what's happening behind the scenes that most contractors never see, and why being involved in an organization like this is more important than most people realize. Because the reality is, if you're not paying attention to what's happening at the legislative and industry level, you could be making decisions today that impact your business tomorrow without even knowing it. So help me welcome Richie to the show. Hey. Richie Kidwell. How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, man. This is great. This is good.
Yeah,
thanks so much.
It's really nice, man. I've been chasing each other back and forth to get you on here for a while. We've had the opportunity to attend a few of the RAF events over the years. Actually, when we first started Ironclad, we went to a racing thing down in Fort Lauderdale you guys put on for some sort of mixer. It was really cool. Got to meet a lot of the people involved behind the scenes and everything. So I appreciate your time today, man. I know you're a busy man with everything going on. So let's just jump right into it. For everybody that doesn't know you, give us a little bit about your background, what you're about, what you do, and then how you kind of loop in with the RAF.
Sure, man. Yeah, no, thanks for that intro. And I'm Richie Kidwell, been the president of the Restoration Association of Florida since 2014. So going just a little over 10 years in this association. It's really the advocacy, the passion, the really the want and the need, I feel like, to educate and continue to keep us together as one industry in the restoration industry. When I first got into it, I'm a mold assessor by trade, founded Air Quality Assessors, the largest assessment firm in the Southeast. And we ended up finding a specialty in insurance-related claims. And other folks also strive to work in this weird specialty niche that we all somehow know and love. And it really is a specialty niche. And because I fell in love with it and being able to help homeowners that couldn't afford to make themselves whole up front while they're waiting on their insurance company to do the right thing. And other like-minded folks, such as emergency response, remediation companies, roofers, tarpers, inspection companies, dry out companies, all came together and said, it really does take a village to help put a homeowner back in a pre-loss condition. It's not just, one contractor over another. It really does take the village. And we've been seeing public adjusters as well joining our association, other types of, it could be even software companies that want to partner with us and use our network of certified contractors to help build their network. I've had folks call us and say, we're starting up an insurance company type of network, and we want to join with the Restoration Association of Florida and talk to your members that can fulfill the need that we have here in Florida. Taking a step back to when I first got involved in 2014, we were under attack, the restoration folks. I call it the boogeyman up in Tallahassee. The reason why insurance, for property insurance specifically, why the premiums are going up and up. And every year they would have a different boogeyman that they were pointing at. When I got involved, it was before I got involved, it was sinkhole. Sinkhole, the reason why that our premiums continue to go up. That was 2013. Legislators made the change. 2014, they started saying it was the remediation company guys that show up at 3 o'clock in the morning, strong arm these 80-year-old ladies into signing a contract, and then 3 months later finding out that they're part of a lawsuit that they had no idea that they were part of. That was the communication that the legislators had in Tallahassee prior to my involvement. And there were some small groups going up to bring a voice to Tallahassee. And it just so happened I had a big following. And so we partnered together, created the association. And I was known for bussing contractors up during all of those years, finding out what filibuster means in our state legislature, filling up the committees with folks that want to put in speaker cards for bills that were right before the bill that was coming up in the committee. And if it didn't make it through committee, it dies, right? So there are ways that we strategized using our voice. We talked to legislators. We changed the overall communication and voice in Tallahassee by creating this unity, this environment of like-minded restoration contractors that help to help homeowners. And that's really our goal. We don't like to lien homes. We don't like to take advantage of homeowners. We want to put them in a place into a pre-loss condition space as their policy suggests that they do. And we are the vehicles, we are the contractors to do so. And so I want to say our strength is only as good as the consumer. And so we fight for consumer type of laws. We fight for contractor equality to ensure that we still have strong, I want to say, just backing by legislation and not one that goes against us. For instance, in 2001, there was 2011, 21, man, I go back. In 2021, we had a bill that was sponsored, Senate Bill 76, and that bill had language that would not allow roofers to knock on a door in Florida and offer anything of value in exchange for work or services done on their roof where insurance proceeds are payable. I mean, we're talking about a third-degree felony and a $10,000 fine per each. And so we challenged it. We filed suit against that bill. We went to the mat for the roofers that were part of our association. And we held that up for 2.5 years while we were in litigation. Nobody could be fined for such. We also filed suit on constitutionality on the assignment, on the attorney's fees, and we got involved with suing OIR, Office of Insurance Regulation, for binding arbitration that came up in 2022. There were auto renewing policies with binding arbitration. So we're holding the feet to the fire, and we're a very active association in which we have a high regard for our contractor members. And so we have a website, raflorida.org is where we have our contractor base, where we have ability to join and also see where the next event is up and coming. So every month we put on an education seminar and we put on happy hours to really just put out what is going on in the industry. What are folks using today outside of assignment of benefits in the state of Florida? Many people are moving away from Florida, saying, well, I don't understand how to work in this state anymore. We offer contracts that allow for direction to pay, allow for 90-day net terms with the letter of protection in case it does go to a lawyer. You're already set up. The lawyer takes care of your fees on the back end. There's communication stated to the homeowner. And what we all say and do in this industry is what industry standard is. So it's just very important that contractors know what's going on, the homeowners know what's going on, and we continue to educate ourselves as we move forward. Because again, as we all say and do within the industry, it becomes industry standard. And so we got a lot of things going on at the Restoration Association. And again, I love that you come to the meetings and was able to inform the restoration contractors there. that there are ways to market in this industry that are that really benefit them outside of waiting for a storm or hurricane. So that's just great that that we're able to kind of cross connect here and educate the industry on there's life after hurricanes, right? There's life in between storms. And I think that's a good message that they need to hear.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that in the background, and being at your events are awesome. I think that one of the things, if people have listened, I've been running this podcast for a few years now, and I'm a huge proponent of joining these associations. There's not just the RIA and all these other associations. There's a lot of regional associations that you need to get involved with. So I want to back up a second. Let's talk about Florida restoration contractors. Do you think that most of them fully understand this legislation and the industry advocacy and how this stuff is impacting their business right now?
No, I don't. And I think that's why many of my members attend these education seminars, especially during changes in the law. We get a lot of attendance during legislative sessions. We have representation in Tallahassee. So we end up getting news before it comes out to the public. We know what's going on, what's going to pass, what's not going to pass. We've had several bills that were filed this year that we knew were not going to get any legs. We're not going to make it through. We're friends with Danny Perez. He's the Speaker of the House. He has been very vocal about having equality in this industry, and the overreach that happened with our dictator DeSantis when he got bought out by the insurance lobby. $100 million to run for president, and then you saw how that went. The guy should have went for vice president. He screwed that pooch on that one. You weren't going to win against Trump. So, but it is what it is, right? I mean, he had a thing against the trial bar since he almost lost when he originally ran in 2018 against Mayor Gillum in Tallahassee. The Florida bar raised $3 million plus for Mayor Gillum, and he almost overcame Ron DeSantis for governor in 2018. Well, he didn't forget about that. He wanted his pound of flesh, and he found an opportunity to get it. So he sold out $100 million for $100 million from the insurance lobby, who was in a fake crisis. And then premiums continue to soar while while erosion of policy happened at the same time. So not only do we have $10,000 water caps now, we have your $10,000 mold caps, you have your $5,000 water backup, you have your $10,000 unless you use our preferred pretender. It's the policies out today are horrible. They're not good for folks that want to help the homeowners. And it's really getting scary close to an in-network, out-of-network type of contracting here for homeowners in insurance. And I don't like that. It doesn't side well when we have monopoly laws here where an insurance company wants to handle goods and services from A to Z. That's literally the definition of monopoly, where you purchase this policy, you think you have coverage, and then when you have a claim, you have to use one of their preferred network providers who you have no idea what kind of clowns they are. Like, would you let them on your property and say, cool, I'm going to have ICE here whenever they get here? Make sure they have their papers, make sure you have insurance, make sure you have this, where the guys that are part of our association have A+ rating on Better Business Bureaus. They have all of their insurances up to date. All of their employees have been double checked and have their I-9s and are legal to work in this state, right? I mean, and it's like these guys with the insurance company, they want to pay the very lowest as they possibly can. So the providers don't have the adequate insurances. They don't show up with the right workforce. These guys are sometimes subbed out by sub crews that aren't supposed to be here, right? They don't have their I-9 checked. They're working under the table. And we've seen this happen over and over again. And we as the consumer are sitting back and allowing this to happen. And it's just a sad day in Florida when our governor made all those changes in 2022 off the backs of the consumers that have to buy insurance here in the state of Florida. That's the pickle, right? You have to have insurance by a private provider by law, and those private providers don't have to provide their expenses to the state of Florida. And we wonder why we're continuing to have these raising rates. And we see the news and that have came out from the Miami Herald. This talked about how insurance companies would play this left pocket, right pocket game in which their subsidiaries are profiting in the tune of billions and billions of dollars, and which the main insurance company can only make 4.5% profit on their main business. So they would have an administrative company that they would overpay. They would call that the right pocket, while the left pocket screams poor and needs an increase in their premium. So they petition the Office of Insurance Regulation, and that's where the rubber stamp comes out. Bink.
Yep.
And they rubber stamp this in order to create this issue, in which legislators are great on doing, saying, I have a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. So they go back and they use their powers that be to create that issue. And that's what we saw in 2021. We started to see the rates starting to rise in 2022. Yeah. I was stating it all over social media, showing it as it was happening. And then everybody started getting these increases. All of a sudden, Oprah showed up at the Office of Insurance Regulation saying, you get an increase, you get an increase, you get an increase. You don't want an increase, you get an increase. And so it pushed this fake narrative out to the marketplace saying that, well, insurance is in trouble, premiums are going up. But the Miami Herald reported on it when they had the news, and they said, look at this. And still no reaction from the public, no investigation. And insurance companies in Florida are still allowed to do what they're doing. Slide, their CEO and their COO, which is husband and wife, make collectively $50 million a year. And so if you have a slide insurance policy and you've been denied after Hurricane Milton, you wonder why you're paying this guy $1 million a week to oversee your insurance policy just so you can get a denial. Yeah. It's like the math ain't mathin' for me. We need to do something. And one thing we can do is vote and show up for early voting. Frank College is running for CFO. So frankforchange.com is where we need to have everybody show up. The CFO's office oversees the Department of Financial Services and is on the same, on the same board as the governor. You know, believe it or not, the AG, the governor, the ag guy, and the CFO are all the make up the cabinet in our Florida leadership hierarchy. So it's important that we don't have a crony that just does whatever the incoming governor is going to do. And I would suggest that Byron Donalds is going to be our next governor for the state of Florida. And we know he's been bought and paid for by the insurance lobby. And so we just hope that we have other people in there on the board that won't just be a do boy and will actually stand up and say, let's make it fair for consumers in this new marketplace where right now they don't have attorney's fees. They're getting forced to be in these administrative hearings and where if they lose, Citizens actually comes after the homeowner for fees and costs when they got wrongfully denied from a hurricane loss. And what we saw in the paper as well is that Citizens Insurance denied more than 77% of all the claims filed by the last hurricane. In Florida, it was Hurricane Milton, and right before that was Hurricane Helene. Yeah, 77% denial rate, and then they make you go. And if you dispute that denial, they'll make you go to the Department of Administrative Hearing, or DOA, in which they have a 99% chance of winning. Citizens does against you. Why? Because Citizens pays for the administrative hearing. They set up who is that administrative hearing officer, which is usually some other judge that doesn't know anything about property, and they make it happen really fast. And when the homeowner loses, they go after them for fees and costs. And I'm just like, holy cow, what world am I living in when you have a Citizens Insurance policy, which owned 1.4 million out of the 6.5 million policies last year? They've sold many of those policies out and takeout policies to brand new insurance companies. You know, it's crazy. We saw Monarch start a new company after FedNat went out. Monarch starts another company, gets a whole bunch of policies from Citizens, which all has a $10,000 amount given for any claim unless you use their preferred pretender. So insurance company, I mean, you really only have $10,000 to $25,000 worth of coverage today in Florida insurance policies. It's sad because we're paying the most that we ever have in our lifetime for insurance. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, breaking news: insurance companies are not out for your benefit, right? I guess this is. I was going to ask a lot of these questions, but man, you've perfectly illustrated and backed up why I'm always advocating for people to join these regional associations, because I think it's more than fair to say that people that are not involved in these types of legislation or in associations like this, they're just letting other people who have no idea about your industry, that are getting influence from somewhere else, make decisions that are affecting your day to day. Right. So again, I can't implore anybody out there. If you're a Florida restoration contractor, look up. I've got if you check us out on YouTube, I've got the ticker on the bottom here with the URL. It's raflorida.org. Not too hard to type in, not too hard to find if you just Google search it. I mean, these guys are everywhere, all across the state. Richie's advocating for you each and every day. He's got a wealth of knowledge here. So you know what, if you're not involved, you need to be. You cannot be looking at these associations as competition. There is no excuse to not get involved because this is affecting your day to day. And Richie, I was wondering if you could quickly just mention a couple things here, just to make it a little bit more practical, how RAF right now is impacting our Florida contractors' day-to-day business.
Sure. No, thank you for that. And so being a part of our membership gets you first rights to receive emails up front for assistance, if you need contract assistance, if you need to connect with other contractors in areas that you do not service, but one of our members do service. Again, like you said, Ben, there's no competition out there. There really isn't. Yeah. I mean, there's only opportunity. Yes. Even if somebody does the same thing as you, maybe you get a lead in an area where they can handle and you make a percentage off that. Happens all the time with our members. But we put on education seminars every month. We put on happy hours. Check out our website. The next one that we have coming up is April 9th. It's a happy hour from 6 to 8 p.m. in Fort Lauderdale at Bow Campers. So come and meet, network with others that are in the area, that are in this industry. You'll meet public adjusters, you'll meet attorneys, service professionals, and first responders that will help enrich what you're doing today, help you reach an area maybe that you're not in, or be a perfect fit for somebody in your power team.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I can't say enough about these events. I mean, just for the lunch and learns, they were so informative. I mean, you have attorneys that are advocating for you daily. And when you went up and did your spiel, you also have a radio show. I got to be a guest on a couple of weeks ago, or it seems like yesterday, the way the time's flying. Why don't you give us a plug? How do people tune into that radio show for a Florida contractor?
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So contractortalkpodcast.com is the way you find not only the podcast that I have there, it goes on YouTube as well. It has links to where you can find our podcast on on Spotify and on iTunes. It is a radio show that does it every Monday. So if you're in the Central Florida area, it's on 94.9 FM, 950 AM. It's called The Answer. It's talk radio, Monday nights, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. So different ways that you can consume it, whether it be live, Spotify, or on YouTube.
Yeah. So I guess, with everything that you've said and put out there, I mean, I think there's a huge sense of urgency right now. Is there anything right now, if guys aren't paying attention, if they haven't been pushed over the edge of trying to find out more that's happening right now in the state, that we need to be paying attention to?
Well, luckily, nothing changed this year. There were laws that were out to make mandatory mediation occur. In case of a dispute, you have to go through mediation. That bill died and never went through. They're trying to change it to where public adjusters, insureds under a public adjusting contract, if they're over the age of 65, can cancel the contract anytime, free of penalty. Which I thought was weird.
In the snowbird state, right? Where like 80% of the people down here are over the age of 65.
Can you imagine that? I mean, it's crazy what bills that the insurance company lobby brings. And so we bring that information as it comes live, and we tell what the chances are that it's actually going to get any legs and move on. And none of them did. So we had a quiet year this year. If you don't know what happened the last couple of years, definitely check out one of my events. You'll get caught up from what happened from 2019 all the way up till today. A lot of law changes occurred, both in service professional world and in public adjusting world, ensuring that your contract includes certain things as a public adjuster, whereas your LOR would be separate than your fee and cost a contract. It's one thing that changed in 2023. that most public adjusters don't know of. But we've been mixing up information within my industry, within the public adjusting industry, and all of it combined as, again, it takes a village to help out a homeowner. And in today's world, without the assignment of benefits, why Contractors using it? Because you get paid directly. And in today's world, if the homeowner gets paid and they take a vacation, your money's gone, it's a lot more difficult to get the money back rather than being prepared up front, having a direction to pay contract involving the use of a public adjuster, make sure the claim gets maximized, and the homeowner turns in their proof of loss within 60 days. That's another law that passed a few years ago, is that an unknowing homeowner could file a claim, not turn in their proof of loss within 60 days, and miss the boat for everybody. So it's important that as a contractor to bring in certain folks if the homeowner needs some help. And that's why it takes a village, and we all know what each other are doing, creating power teams within the industry. If I get a claim, you get a claim, we bring everybody in, and we just continue to keep that powerhouse going all the way up until storm season. And then, that's when it gets crazy for all of us. But it's creating the storm in between storms with our power teams is what our message is for the Restoration Association of Florida.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know there's from our interview last week, I know that there's a date coming up on April 7th. I mean, it's going to be relative to homeowners, but we did speak a little bit about how restorers in Florida can help translate that information over to these homeowners that were affected by Milton. Can you talk a little bit about that for me too? So if there's anybody listening to in Florida and this airs before that date comes, hopefully they can get their stuff together and help some people out.
Yes. And that's a great point, is that if you've already filed a Hurricane Milton claim in the state of Florida, because of the law change a few years ago, you have 1 year to report first notice of claim, 18 months to file a supplement, meaning that you now have until April 9th of 2026 to file a supplemental claim on Hurricane Milton. So here's the scenario. You file a claim, your insurance company gave you a small payment, and you dispute that, thinking that you need more payments to make yourself whole, but you haven't signed a full release with your insurance company. You have until April 9th to file a supplemental claim, meaning if your whole claim really ends up being $20,000, they only paid you 10, then that's your dispute amount. You have until April 9th to say to the insurance company, you know what, had a contractor come out, they removed half of my roof. They found out that there are more damages than what they saw. So here's our supplemental invoice. You're cut off after April 9th of 2026. So my suggestion would be, if you haven't involved a public adjuster at this point, get them in there quickly to get a full estimate done and submitted to your insurance company before April 9th of 2026. And that's for Hurricane Milton claims specifically.
I'm going to try to get this out everywhere before then, just so you guys can help some people out, because that's what we're all about here, is helping. That's what these associations and getting involved in these associations and stop the infighting, stop all of the madness here, but more so just getting involved. You are, as a contractor in this state, in any state that you're in, that you're listening to this right now, you're an integral part of your community, and you need to operate your business as such. And that could mean being a part of these associations, regional or national. That could mean creating a scholarship for your local high school. That could mean, supporting charities or your church and your community, but you need to be a farmer more than a harvester, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to be advocating for your future, depending on what you're planning on doing in your business. I know everybody out there running a restoration business should have some sort of exit plan, but that exit plan is going to be worth nothing if we allow legislation to be passed that's not going to be beneficial to you operating your business, and more so beneficial to the homeowner. So, Richie, I appreciate your time on here. I got one last thing. If you wanted to leave these Florida guys and gals running restoration contractors one thing before you got off this episode, what would that be?
Ooh, become a member of the Restoration Association of Florida. A lot of good comes from being a member with our association. Every dollar goes towards advancement of our cause by bringing people together, connecting folks together in the state of Florida. So I would say visit our website, raflorida.org, and become a member today.
And I'm going to have all the information for raflorida.org, the Restoration Association of Florida, in the show notes, along with a few other links of some things that'll get you guys squared away, get you up and running your business a little bit better in 2026 as we're wrapping up Q1, getting ready to get into Q2. Richie, I appreciate your time, man. I'm looking forward to working together and talking very soon.
Absolutely. Me too. Thanks for having me on your show.
All right, buddy.
Okay.
If today's episode helped you, then subscribe and send it to another contractor who needs to hear it. And if your digital marketing isn't producing at the level it should, then let's fix it. At Ironclad Restoration Marketing, we build and manage restoration-specific websites, SEO strategies, Google Ads and LSA campaigns, and Google business profiles, all engineered to drive book jobs, not just vanity metrics. Schedule a strategy session in the show notes, and let's tighten up your growth plan. We'll see you on the next episode.